He was a chief tax collector, wealthy beyond most men in the region, and he was still standing on the outside of every crowd he ever joined. Small enough to be overlooked. Rich enough to be hated. And neither one stopped him from climbing. Luke 19 verse 4 says he ran ahead of the crowd, a wealthy man, running, in public, to climb a tree. You have built something. Position, income, a life that looks finished from the outside. And you are still standing outside the thing you actually wanted. Which was never the money. Zacchaeus had Jericho's entire tax system in his hands, and it never once got him into a room he actually belonged in. Many of you will push back on this. Good. Because success was never Zacchaeus' problem. Access was. Part 1. The wealth was real, and it was never the thing missing. Luke 19 verse 2. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. Two facts, delivered flat, no tension between them yet. Chief tax collector meant he did not collect taxes himself, he managed other collectors beneath him, took a cut of what they extorted, and answered directly to Rome for the district's quota. This was not modest wealth earned quietly. This was systemic wealth, visible and resented, built on a position every Jew in Jericho considered a betrayal of their own people to a foreign occupier. But here is what nobody told you. The Greek word used for wealthy in this passage is plausios. The same word Luke uses to describe the rich fool who built bigger barns, the rich young ruler who walked away sad, and the rich man in the parable of Lazarus who ignored the beggar at his gate. Luke does not use this word casually anywhere in his gospel. Every other time plausios appears, it sets up a collision between wealth and the one thing wealth cannot purchase. Zacchaeus was never going to be the exception to that pattern. Part 2. The crowd did not reject his height. They rejected his job. Luke 19 verse 3. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short he could not see over the crowd. Read that sentence again. Short is stated plainly as the obstacle. But a wealthy chief tax collector walking through a Jericho street was never actually invisible. Crowds part for wealth. Crowds do not part for a man they consider a traitor profiting off their own oppression. The height was real. The height was also not the actual barrier standing between Zacchaeus and the front of that crowd. Think about that for a second. Zacchaeus' money bought him a position with Rome and total exile from his own people at the exact same time. He could purchase almost anything available in that city except one seat closer to the front of a crowd that despised what he did for a living every single day. Every denarius he ever collected reinforced the very distance he could not close. Part 3. He did something no man with his status was ever supposed to do in public. Luke 19 verse 4. So he ran ahead of the crowd and climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. A grown man, wealthy, holding a position of civic authority, running through a public street and climbing a tree like a child chasing something he could not afford to lose sight of. In that culture, an adult of standing did not run in public under any circumstance. Climbing a tree in front of the very crowd that already resented him was worse. Zacchaeus spent something that day his money could never buy back, the last of his public dignity, in front of the exact people who already looked down on him. Now stop. Many of you will push back on this. Good. Because this is the uncomfortable center of the story. Zacchaeus did not climb that tree after cleaning up his life or making restitution first. He climbed it as a man still fully entangled in the very system that made him wealthy and hated at the same time. Jesus did not wait for the reform to happen before showing up. The reform came after the tree, not before it. Part 4. Jesus did not see what the entire crowd saw when they looked at this man. Luke 19 verse 5. Jesus looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, come down immediately, I must stay at your house today. Jesus used his actual name. Not tax collector. Not sinner, which is exactly what the crowd would mutter under their breath seconds later. Jesus named him before Zacchaeus had said a single word in his own defense. The crowd had already reduced this man entirely to his profession. Jesus reduced him to nothing at all, and then addressed the man underneath every label the crowd had already assigned him. Let that land. The gap between what the crowd saw when they looked up at Zacchaeus in that tree and what Jesus saw was not a small difference of opinion. The crowd saw a job title and a reputation. Jesus saw a name he had apparently known before that afternoon ever began. Part 5. The moral dilemma the crowd's outrage exposes about all of us. Luke 19 verse 7. All the people saw this and began to mutter, "He has gone to be the guest of a sinner." Tell me honestly in the comments, were they wrong to react that way? Zacchaeus really had extorted his own people for years, profiting personally off a system that impoverished his neighbors. The crowd's anger was not manufactured. It was earned. And Jesus went to his house anyway, before repentance, before restitution, before a single public apology was offered. If you were standing in that crowd, watching Jesus walk into the house of the man who profited off your own family's poverty, would you have muttered along with everyone else? Part 6. What actually changed that day was not the size of his bank account. It was the address of his loyalty. Luke 19 verses 8 to 9. Zacchaeus stood up and said, "Look, Lord, here and now I give half my possessions to the poor, and if I have cheated anybody out of anything I will pay back 4 times the amount." Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house." Half of everything he owned. A 4-fold restitution rate that exceeded what Mosaic law technically required for theft. Zacchaeus did not become poor in order to be found by God. He became honest, in public, about exactly what his wealth had cost everyone around him, and he gave it back faster and more completely than the law itself demanded. You have been climbing toward a version of belonging that your success was never actually built to reach, no matter how high you climbed. Zacchaeus' money never once bought him a seat inside that crowd. It bought him a name he could not hear clearly until the moment he climbed back down from the very tree his own desperation had put him in. What you are looking for was never hiding behind more income or a better title. It was always behind the willingness to be seen exactly as you are right now, before the reform happens, before the apology is ready, before you have anything else to offer except your own name. If you want to see exactly what it looks like when God's economy runs on a completely different math than the one you were taught, watch the video appearing on your screen right now. Workers who were hired at the very last hour received the exact same wage as the men who had worked since morning. The denarius was never about how long anyone worked. Drop "I received this" in the comments if today you are choosing to stop climbing for approval that was never coming, and come down into the name He already called you by.